Now, how often you get chance to sacrifice on e6 in the main line, and that is against not only one, two, but four different black popular choices. Sounds very interesting, right? Welcome guys, as you are going to witness some of the cool sacrifices on e6 in the mainline Najdorf. The critical position arises after the following move order: e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, c captures d4, knight captures d4, knight to f6, knight to c3, and now a6, starting point of the Najdorf. Okay, we are going to continue with the main line, bishop to g5, whereupon black has two choices. The old move in this position is e6, and against this I recommend the move f4, and if you remember, I have covered this line in detail in my Dirty Chess Tricks Against Sicilian Part 2 episode. So if you haven't checked it out, I strongly recommend you to go through this video. However, in the recent time, the modern move is knight b to d7, defending the knight and remain flexible. Okay, we are going to continue with bishop to c4. Well, it is very natural for any Najdorf player that as soon as that bishop arrives on the c4 square, they literally block it with e6, as you can confirm by the database. Well, after this, I recommend you should castle, and we have reached to the critical position where I want you to look at the database. All top 4 choices by the black leads to our superb sacrifice on the e6 square, where almost in all games white finished the black very quickly. So let's see each by turn and find out how crafty this sacrifice can turn out for you. The first move I want to consider is bishop to e7, top choice by black, but a mistake, as yup, we are going to deliver the surprise package, bishop takes e5, and the point is we are clear pawn up, so if black doesn't take it, then of course white enjoy the material advantage. So no, majority of the cases black took this bishop, and after this we can simply take on e6 with our knight, and the roller coaster start from here, as black has two major choices, but it doesn't bother to us as both leads to the same disaster. So briefly, if they play queen a5, we can play bishop to d2, trying to get discovery, so black has to move the queen out, and after that knight to d5 goes into the main idea. Well, the same story goes if they continue with queen to b6, as in more or less against all this line, we are going to deliver knight to d5, which has two purposes. Number one, it looking at the juicy c7 square, and number two, it attack the queen. So white response is forced. He has to eliminate this dangerous knight. But after this, I'm afraid black journey ends here. Well, before I move on guys, I like you to pause this video and find out a killer sequence where white finish off the black. Are you ready? Let's get started. The first move is knight captures g7 check, and after king to f7, we have this lovely queen check, which more or less forced the response, as black simply cannot take this knight in the view of following forcing mate. Yup, you got it. bishop h6, king g8, and queen captures d5, a picturesque checkmate. So that means at this point, black is forced to play king to g8. But after this, I propose white should play knight to f5, and this can create so many problems for the black. For example, there is a game in the database where black, who is nearly 2400, continue with bishop to f8, whereupon white shows the power of his position by going through this nice sequence. First, this knight check. Okay, black has to take it. Well, after that, bishop takes h6, threatening similar queen captures d5 mate. So black stop it with knight to f6. But after the following sequence, queen to g5 check, king to f7, queen to g7 check, and at the end, when white grabbed the rook in the corner, black lost the game in few moves thanks to his king caught in the center. So these games highlight how good this variation is for the white. The second option I want to consider is b5. Yup, the same old story. We sack on e6, and after pawn takes e6, knight takes e6, queen to b6. Do you remember what is the plan? Congratulations if you find the same pattern, knight to d5, a double attack, so that this time around when blacks take it, instead of capturing with the pawn, white has a better move, namely queen captures d5. And recently I beat a candidate master quickly in this line, where my opponent casually continued with bishop to b7, which I'm afraid a big time blunder. And after this, there is a mate in 3, guys. Yup. See how beautiful this line is, as white has this nice finishing touch. Knight to c7 check. King has no way to hide, so black has to take it. But after queen to e6, bishop to e7, and queen captures e7, we have a deadliest checkmate in this variation, which you should always watch out in your own game. The third move I want to consider is queen to c7, and no prize for guessing white's next reply. It is very obvious, bishop takes e6. After pawn takes and knight takes, if queen goes to either b6 or a5 square, then we have knight to d5, a familiar territory. So in one of the game, black choose the move queen to c4, counter-attacking the white knight. Well, it doesn't stop white plan, namely knight to d5, looking at juicy c7 square. And after knight takes d5 and pawn takes d5, black choose the move knight to e5 in order to eliminate this dangerous knight. But after just 2 moves, black can pack his bag and go home. Would you like to try yourself? Go ahead, buddy. I'm showing you right now. b3, queen to c3, and now lovely deflection move, bishop to d2, so that queen has to go to the only square, namely b2. And after that, yup, you guessed it, finally we get the rook in the corner. Last but not least, what happens if black plays the fourth popular choice, namely knight to c5? And against this, I recommend you should start with b4, so that if black knight goes back, then we can achieve our familiar tactical pattern. Bishop takes e6, pawn takes e6, knight takes e6, queen b6, knight d5, knight takes, pawn takes. And here it doesn't matter whatever black plays. Let's say in one game, black continue with knight to e5, trying to go for the same idea, where this time around, once again, white deflect the queen with bishop to e3, so that by force queen has to give up the c7 square, whereupon this fork is so strong that white is winning in almost majority of the games. So nope, moving the knight is too dangerous for black. The only good move here is counter-attacking the white bishop with b5. But against this, I propose this nice trap in this line, starting with pawn takes c5, b takes c4, and now this wonderful sacrifice, knight to d5. What a move! Well, simply black cannot allow this knight to go on a juicy b6 square, so he has to take it off. But after this, white has a nice counterplay, which I like to show you by showing a grandmaster game, where white crushed his FIDE master in a style. Here he continued with e captures d5, looking for moves such as rook to e1 and knight to c6. And black thought that, okay, let me quickly castle before apocalypse happens. So he continued with bishop to e7, which I'm afraid turned out as a big mistake, as after knight to c6, queen to c7 and rook to e1, black to his horror find out that he is about to lose his important bishop. Well, the game finished very quickly. Black played bishop to g4, attacking the white queen. White played queen to d4. So now the threat is bishop takes f6, and in some lines this g4 bishop hangs. So black continued with crafty move, bishop to e6. But Grandmaster was in the control of all the tactics, and he kickstart with knight captures e7, so that in the next move he can take the bishop. Okay, black continue with in-between move, d captures c5, attacking the white queen. So white has to take on c4, and when black recapture the piece, white deliver the following deadly sequence. Bishop takes f6, queen takes f6. Now he take on c5, stopping black to castle. And kindly note, you cannot play rook to c8 as white can simply take it off. So in the game, black choose rook to d8, attacking on d5. But now the task is very easy. You first give this check, misplace the black king, and then take this piece, whereupon the only mistake white should avoid is not taking on e6, and wisely so, white played rook to b1, where if you carefully look at the position, not only white is a clear pawn up, but black king and this rook is completely misplaced, and on top of everything, white has rook intrusion coming up on the b7 square, where altogether black has a completely hopeless position. That's it guys, I hope you enjoy and learn this high profile sacrificial line in the mainline Najdorf. The most fascinating part is, all the top choice from the black allow us this beautiful sacrifice, and after this, as I have demonstrated in this video, no matter however black wriggles, white quick opening victory cannot be denied. Well, thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.